Let's talk about the demise of the Thumpers. That would be the big single cylinder bikes that is fixing to happen in, I think it's 2017. And I'll put a link to the article down in the description. You'll have to read it, seriously. Kawasaki has the KLR 650. Suzuki has the DR 650. BMW has the BMW GS G 650. But that's fuel injected. So the EPA is going to mandate, which they all probably knew 10 years ago, that the emission standards were going to go higher or lower, less emissions, however you want to deal with it. Oh, the Honda XR 650 is another one that Honda's going to be screwed. Well, all three, you know, Honda, Suzuki, and Kawasaki, they're all screwed because they stayed with carbureted bikes. BMW went with the fuel injection, electronic fuel injection, and they can control the emissions, but I tell you what, they've already stopped selling the Certeo in the United States. And I think I know why. I mean, I'm probably the biggest problem that they had, because I shit-talked them to no end about the problems with the Certeo. Never had anything to do with emissions. It was just a piece of shit design. All right, so they've got the other 650s that are single cylinders, that are lower bikes, lower seat height, which I consider girls' bikes. Those aren't going away, guys. I'm telling you straight up. They're not going away. The Certeo has its own personal fucking issues, which, if you followed me, you knew all about everything I told them. I mean, hell, I had to go into the dealer and tell them how to fix it the first fucking time from the decompression lever. Whatever. Which I got all that information from the EU guys that told me how to fix it. So anyway, let's get back to Suzuki and Honda and Kawasaki. The Kawasaki KLR has been around, the 650 has been around since 1987. The only thing that they've ever been able to do, and never successfully, is continue to update the doohickey. And if you read that article, you'll see, oh, the KLR fans are still dealing with the doohickey issue. That's bullshit. Because the KLR community figured it out on their own, and we buy the circlip spring and the enhanced doohickey lever from a guy that's on KLR650.net. But they made a point of pointing that out. And then the next thing that they made a point on pointing out is, oh, the cylinder ends up being oblong. Okay. All right. I can speak to that. That was solved in the late 90s by another guy on KLR650.net. And it increased the amount of coolant level, because it's a water-cooled bike, that's going through the damn engine and the cylinder head, that Kawasaki doesn't want to address, because I'm telling you, all these bike manufacturers, all they want to do is sell the bike, let you ride it for 2 or 3 years, and then you have to go buy another bike because, oh, you have to put a new cylinder on it, etc., etc., etc. This shit never ends. They don't want to fix it. They want to just do enough to keep the market buying. It's kind of all these bikes are cult followings, especially the DR650, the XR650, and the KLR. Now on my BMW, and like I said, I take credit for getting them bounced out of the US because they were too stupid to listen to me from the very fucking beginning, when I had already talked to all the EU guys and they told me what I was running into. But what did they do? They didn't do shit. They brought it over to the United States and sold it. And I asked the dealer, has the decompression lever been fixed? Oh, we've never heard of that. Okay. Okay, bitches. I got you. So they paid for 6 tow jobs. 3-year warranty on that bike. They paid for 6 or 7 tow jobs. And I ended up giving them the part number and the service bulletin for how to fix the goddamn hot start issue that concerned the decompression lever. It's really pretty sad when you think about it. But now let's go back to my 2009 KLR, and Muzzle Mike has it now. I put the thermal bob in it. I did the doohickey in it. I did a lot of shit to that bike. But it had a lot of electrical issues, and I'm telling you right now, I am not an electrician. Muzzle Mike is, since he got that bike, he has solved all the electrical issues. Because he's got it up here when it comes to electrical issues. But now the EPA is going to say, oh, we're gonna do away with these 650 Thumpers because they can't meet emission standards. The KLR 650, the DR 650, they're not going to go away forever. It's just going to take the manufacturer's time for them to figure out, looking 10 years down the road, knowing what the emission standards are going to keep going up to. They're going to have to go to EFI, which was one of my major bitches with the KLR 650. And when I rode the DR, that was one of my main issues, is because it felt like a toy and the brakes sucked. They really do. BMW put Brembo brakes with ABS and all that shit on there, and EFI. It's a great fucking bike when it runs. Seriously, I love the fucking bike. And I know you guys keep saying every time I have a problem with the BMW, it's like, why don't you just sell it and buy a KLR again? Now, you have no clue how big a difference it is. The Brembo brakes, the electronic fuel injection, it's stupid simple once you ride the two of them. That's a twin with one exhaust. Really? So I think my biggest question is, why do the Harleys not get emission tested? Oh, because they pass it right out of the factory. Okay. Telling you right now, the KLR ain't going nowhere. The DR650 ain't going nowhere. They may go, all right, we're gonna spend it for a year or two, but there's such a cult following for these bikes that they'll figure it out, but they have to get the paperwork to see where the emissions are going 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And they'll fix it. They'll figure it out. It'll go to EFI, both of them. Well, and Honda too, all three of them. They'll end up going to it. But I suspect Honda may just do away with the XR because they've already come out with the 700X, the 700RX. But it won't be the same, and their sales will plummet. I mean, Pseudo DJ already bought one of those Honda 700s, and I don't think he even kept it a year, and he traded it in and he bought something else. And I just met him yesterday again. The XR from Honda is just way too fucking tall and too small a gas tank. Now I bring that up because you got the KLR that comes with a 5.8 gallon tank. The DR comes out with something, yeah, love the trains. The DR comes out with like a 5 gallon tank. But this Honda XR shit has a 2.8 gallon tank. My BMW has a 4.3 gallon tank. Perfect for me because every 60, 100 miles I want to get my ass off the goddamn bike, get a drink and fill the tank up so I can keep going. Whatever. If you're a hard rider and you can ride 300 miles on a tank of gas, more power to you. I'm not doing it. 60, 100 miles, I gotta get off the fucking bike. I need a cigarette. I need a Gatorade. Whatever you wanna call it. Break time. Fucking flies. So this article that comes out of Canada says, oh, the big three are going to do away with them, and BMW is already going to do away with the 650 GS. Well, there's another thing with that. For the Certeo, which is basically a KLR, they went with the 800. And plus I beat them down so goddamn hard, and so did the guys in the EU, over the constant problems with the Certeo that used to be called the Dakar, which the Dakar had water pump problems, and they had to do a recall on all of them to replace the water pump gasket. How fucking stupid is that? But Kawasaki won't do a recall on the doohickey. Kawasaki will not install a bigger thermostat, i.e. the Thermobob. The DR, I don't know what all their issues are. I see a DR and I'm just like, a DR 650, I'm just like, I don't really even want to talk about it, because the one time I sat on it, the one time I rode one, I was not impressed at all. So you DR guys can respond. I'm sure you guys have known problems, but I don't research DR 650s at all. The Honda XR I really considered until I sat on it and rode on it and looked at the specs, and I was like, there ain't no fucking way I'm buying a 650 with a, what is it, a 2.7 gallon tank? Carbureted. It doesn't get any better fuel mileage than a KLR or a DR. Pointless. So I would have to buy the bike. I would have to buy an aftermarket tank. Steel Horseman can tell you about that, and he's a great guy. I really wish he would, well, he's already put up a video on it, but he should recover that territory and talk about the Honda XR. So you DR guys, put up a video response to this. Steel Horseman with your XR 650, put up a response video to this. Any KLR lovers or haters, go ahead and put up a video response. I'll approve them all. And if you own a Certeo or just a girl's bike 650 GS, go ahead and put that up. Go ahead, I'll approve them all. But this bullshit of the contemplation that the EPA is going to make them go to dual cylinders, whether it's parallel or vertical twins or V-twins or whatever they want to call it. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. You do that, and then you got to have a double-sized catalytic converter to deal with the emissions on that shit. I ain't buying it. All the manufacturer has to do is convert these to EFI, and yeah, it's going to take them a couple of years once they get the paperwork to figure out, well, 10 years from now, where are we going to be at? Because there was a lot of places, a lot of you live where you have to go through an emissions test on a bike, which I think is pure and utter bullshit, but they do it. Remember we went through this with Al Gore and the two-stroke bikes? Now they're wanting to make chainsaw two-stroke engines thing of the past. Doesn't take a genius to figure out, to see where this is going. That's why I bailed on the carbureted engine. I don't want to have to sit there and fuck with the jetting when I get into higher altitudes. I did that when I was 2012 on the KLR, or 2011. I'm not doing it. I'm not a carb guy. Buy yourself an EFI and ride. And by the way, did I tell you? Hillary for prison. Fucking criminal. All right, we'll talk to you later.